Hello and welcome to Triple Tap. This is episode number 25. Can you believe it? We've been going 25 weeks now. This is our 25th week and we have got an exciting episode for you guys tonight. Love to welcome Lance and Ken as co-hosts with me tonight. So how are you both this week and what kind of a week have you had? We always start with this. So who wants to go first tonight?
I don't mind going first tonight. It's been a huge week. Writing new legislation that'll be coming into force, which is interesting. But more on that at a later date. As usual, just happy to be here.
Excellent, Ken. What about you, Lance?
Okay, so Kent's been extremely modest, very, very modest. We had the pleasure of going out and spending some time with Kim and Mackay, and the net result of that is we were instrumental in stopping the process of the purchase of the land that was required by Anastasia Plakachuk to put her stupid windmills on to pump water up the hill, then to let it leak out. So it just shows what getting off your ass will do. And that was Kim, Kent, myself went up, spoke with Steve, who's a really cool member of Parliament, one out of all of them. That's not a bad outcome. We went up, we spoke with the originals up there, and they're seeing a better way forward. So we had that victory, which is, I'm sure there's more work to do. Let's watch this space. Then today is the day we can announce a new nation on this land, which is the Githable Narakbul of the Yukum Yukum. And that happened today, which is pretty historic.
Whoa.
We've had a TAP satellite group who has decided to forge ahead and form the Peoples Council in Coffs Harbour. So that's pretty cool. So we're starting to win, and a little bit of effort goes an extremely long way. So I want to encourage everyone to engage in what we're going to show tonight. Excited to have Darren back. Really, really excited. So let's get into it.
Yeah, excellent. And of course, we're a little bit casual tonight, guys, because if you can see through I know my camera's not too good tonight, but I have one of the new TAP t-shirts on. It's the nice burgundy color. I feel like I'm part of the Queensland rugby team. I think it is. I don't follow sport, but I'm pretty sure this is the Queensland rugby color, but it does match the logo. It's got the big TAP logo on the back. And of course, I was out there today down at the hospital, and it was interesting seeing all these masked people down there. And I refuse to be one of them. But of course, I was chatting to lovely people down there, and it's like, if you want to know more about what we're doing with like the mortgages and the titles, because we got speaking to a lady down there about that. I said, just take a photo of the back of my t-shirt, and then you could just find us on Telegram. So she did that. So it was really great to be down there and sharing the TAP brand and talking to people. So very, very excited. And always wear my little pendants with me. One that's very special to me is one that's my warrior one that's got strength on it. And we're going to be speaking to another warrior tonight. We were very blessed to speak to this man a while ago. So guys, I make no apologies for what I'm about to say. Sometimes in life, you just have to say it how it is. And in my world, there are three types of people. There are those that make things happen. There are those that watch things happen. And there are those that go, fuck, what just happened? And always make sure you're in the first category. 24 weeks ago, we interviewed this man, and I'm about to introduce him on Triple Tap tonight. He was on episode number 1. So yes, 24 weeks ago. However, since then, some very big changes have taken place. Introducing our guest this evening, I have to say he is the Herald of High Vis. He is Mr. Mayor. He is the scourge of the Frankston City Council and the cause of their upset stomach. He is a leader of the people. He is the founder of MyPlace. And no, I'm not talking about the TV show. And it's not the one that you connect your smart devices with either. And it's certainly not the disability insurance scheme, which are all called MyPlace as well. Rather, it's very similar to what we do at the TAP satellite groups. Most of all, he is a man of absolute integrity who is unafraid of the government and accepts the personal responsibility of helping make change take place here inside Australia. In short, he's a bloke that gets shit done. So, ladies and gentlemen, in category number 1, please welcome Darren Bergwerf to the call. Darren, are you there? If you are, my friend, please turn your camera on and let's get chatting.
Good evening, Ainsley. How you going?
Oh, very well. Thank you, Darren. Great to have you back on episode number 25 of Triple Tap. Welcome to the call. Let's start by just asking, what have you been doing with the MyPlace in the last 24 weeks since we've spoken to you?
All right. So the last time I think we spoke was in the middle of the election campaign, the federal election campaign. I was pretty much a novice at that stage in speaking publicly, and since then I caught up with you guys with Lance and Kent the week after at a meeting, and we decided at that point it was after listening to them do their presentation that we need to change tact and go away from political stuff and turn into community, because these boys had some wonderful community initiatives already up and going. And we went back to MyPlace in Frankston, which is what I called the venue and the community 12 months ago. And we set about doing something constructive to bring community together and drop the politics.
So what have you seen? What sort of change have you seen in that time in the quality of the people putting their hand up now and saying, hey, we're looking for something better?
Not just the quality, it's the volume. That very first week, we had a debrief after the election, the Wednesday after, which was probably about the 25th or something, and we'd already made plans to get flyers ready, put QR codes on about the Heffernan speech in the Senate, and all of this kind of stuff was all negative until we come across that weekend where we met again after Canberra. And as soon as I left there on that Sunday night, I realised that, we're going the wrong way. And since that, the very next Wednesday night, we had another meeting, and I said, look, we're going to change tack. We're not going with the negative stuff, with the political stuff. I'd like to implement this community kind of program. And out of the 107 we had at the meeting, we got 47 names, emails, and phone numbers put down that wanted to join all the different committees. I mean, we already had 4 or 5 set up. We had a home education and a health, and because it is a health and wellbeing building, we have lots of healers there, spiritual healers and sound healers. So we already had the basis of the structure, but you guys just added and cemented in my mind that that's where we need to go forward with that plan rather than the political one.
Mate, what we're seeing throughout the freedom movement in Australia is a lot of mistakes finally coming to the forefront with people who are pretending to do the right thing for the country, but they're out there collecting money, ripping people off, pretending to start a union, and all of a sudden $70,000, $80,000 goes missing. We're finding out that there are those people who are part of secret organisations designed, to break up the freedom movement and keep power in the hands of our corrupt councils and in the hands of the state governments who are also corrupt. The moves that you've been making with MyPlace don't seem to be fraught with those dangers. The sort of people who are coming out and working with you are interested in, well, they're interested in making a change at a local council and community level, and they seem to be the sort of people who aren't ripping people off. Can you fill us in about that, mate? Like, what's the structure of the council and the MyPlace, and how's that work with money?
Okay, so everything we do is self-funded or volunteer work, and we've got some people that put in. I'm doing this 7 days a week now for nothing, basically, and we've got a lot of volunteers doing similar, not as many hours, but at least 20 to 30 hours a week. But what we're trying to achieve in our local community is that everyone's problem, rather than of saying, well, it doesn't affect me, I'm not going to worry about it. Every time we hear something that is wrong in the community, I make a definite effort to get down, speak to those people, find out what's going on, and then rally the whole community behind that one thing. And we've had 3 pushbacks against the local council where they've actually reversed decisions against some homeless people, against a couple of food trucks that they took their permits away. and also some speed camera things in the main street of Frankston. So it really is about uniting the whole community on everyone's issue, not just the ones that affect you.
Mate, can you tell us about those 3 successes in a little bit more detail? So we can get an idea of the kind of successes and we'll see where they might take us to in the future.
Yeah, certainly. One of them's there's a speed camera, and they changed the limit from 60 to 40, put some nice new shiny speed cameras up at this intersection. Didn't really put the signage up for long enough, or the correct signs that they were supposed to via Vic roads. And look, it was like a strobe light. You sit there on the corner and it was flashing constantly. There's a lot of, they started their own Facebook page, just speed camera issue. We got involved with that as well. And so every time we see an issue, now that's been come out now that all of those fines for a 3-month period, they are all going to be squashed. So the people have had a big win there. We also had 2 food trucks that were down at the Olivers Hill boat ramp. They've been there for 3 or 4 years, and they didn't get their permits renewed. Went to a new tender that came from Mornington. Now they're an institution publicly at that location, so there was a lot of people angry about that. So we kind of got behind that cause as well, and we all teamed up together. We went to the council meetings. Within 3 days of that council meeting, that decision was reversed, and both of those permits got reinstated, just for 12 months to start with. And then they introduced the third one. Then there was also 8 homeless people living in their cars, and they've been down at the same place, Olivers Hill boat ramp car park, for probably 6 or 8 months. And they got a move on order from the council. They're going to come down and tow their vehicles if they didn't move. Now, one of the guys down there, Ian Perry, he put a post up on the Frankston Notice Board Facebook page, 47,000 followers, and I seen it on the Friday night. I called him Saturday morning, went and spoke to him, offered him that they could come and park in the car parks behind my building and use our shower and toilet facilities if the council kind of come to tow them. But we got the whole community behind that as well, and that decision was reversed also.
So
Isn't it incredible? Isn't it incredible,
ahead,
Darren, that what you've really done is awoken that spirit to say, guys, we're in charge, hold these people responsible, because clearly from the decisions the council had made, they had not taken any public interest into account. And you've forced that issue, and that's been all that's required to make the change. It really is about people getting off their ass, isn't it?
It's a mindset. Everything we're going through is a mindset. And that's where the re-education of the whole country on so many different levels needs to take place. And that's what MyPlace is also about. It's about, first of all, educating myself, because I haven't known half this stuff until the last 6 months. My learning curve's been vertical. But we're always finding ways and surrounding myself with people that do have the knowledge. And then we're trying to implement workshops and ways that we can impart this knowledge onto the community as well. So, you know, everything that we do and start at Frankston, we're trying to get copied all around Victoria and at the moment, potentially Australia as well.
That's great, Darren. I know you're also being very instrumental. You were one of the very first people that set up the Peoples Trust Victoria, which was in regard to council rates, fines, and state revenue. And of course, council rates is something that everybody has been used to just for so long and so many years, pay every single year. And we wonder why we're doing it. And I know I stopped paying my council rates 5 years ago, but the Peoples Trust, which we're setting up in Victoria, South Australia, Queensland, I think we've got 2 in New South Wales set up. Tell us a little bit more about what the Peoples Trust is all about, because we're obviously we're not out there saying to people, don't pay your council rates, are we? Can you tell us a little bit more, what is Peoples Trust all about, and what can people expect from that if they get in contact with their local Peoples Trust in each state?
Okay, so peoplestrustvictoria.com is our website. It's a platform where you can challenge the invoices of corporations that you don't have a contract with. We've started with the main ones, Fines Victoria, and your local council, and also the State Revenue Office. So once again, I've got some people that have the knowledge and believe that these invoices are unlawful. So we don't. It hasn't been proven yet, one way or another. But we're giving everyone the opportunity to challenge that, and we're going to help them challenge that. And once again, it's an education process. We don't know where this is going to end up or what the case will be at the end, but it's all about when you start putting this kind of stuff out there, people start to ask questions and they start to understand that the deception and the bigger picture. So we're trying to get people started on a journey, and what better way than their hip pocket, because unfortunately the majority of the people in this country are only interested in their hip pocket. Otherwise we would have already finished this exercise that we're undertaking at the moment.
Darren, a couple of weeks ago, we had a wonderful interview with Spiros. Those people who were viewing and those people who viewed this triple tap later on at later times have commented that they want to see more of him and that they want to try to understand what's going on with the councils. I've been talking with people in my home village where I live. I've actually spoken to a lady and asked her if she would consider being the mayor. She's a perfect choice for it. I understand that you are referred to as Mr. Mayor these days. Can you fill us in on that story? And look, I know you're a humble bloke, and I know you're not going to let it, that it doesn't go to your head. So it would be great if we could hear that story from you and find out that situation.
Here's another thing that wasn't my idea. This is the one Spiros came up with, and we had a discussion about it, same as the trust. The only difference is that, I take action straight away. And he mentioned that the councils are the way forward. We'd already set up a council action group before to go to every council meeting and scrutinise and make them know that we're watching to start with. But then he came up with this idea of starting our own Peoples Council. So straight away, we got it sorted. We had a meeting of 60 odd people. It was moved that we start a Frankston Peoples Council. And we went through the minutes are on our website, frankstonpeoplescouncil.org. And we had 3 nominations for mayor, and we all got to speak for 2 minutes. And I was elected as the mayor of the People's Council. And then I got a deputy mayor, litigation, treasury. We've now expanded that to we have a secretary, we have a media department, and all of the things that we had under the MyPlace umbrella before now come under we've got another umbrella, which is the Frankston People's Council, and all of those services that we want to provide for our community come under that, and they're on our website.
Mate, that's absolutely fantastic. As you're aware, the TAP executive has put together a small team that is going to various cities in Queensland and putting on events to talk to people to explain how to set this up. And we're going to be pushing this as well, because the types of successes that you're having, I mean, I understand that the Frankston City Council, if I've got the name wrong, please correct me. The mayor of that council actually calls you Mr. Mayor in official meetings, correct?
Oh, no, not quite. We were at one of their corporate meetings, and they're not a council, but that's what's on their letterhead. But we're at their meeting, and it was the one actually where 3 days later they reversed the decision on those 2 vans and gave those two people their permits back. So I was sitting right at the front in my high vis. I had about 20 other people behind me, also in high vis. The place was packed out. There was 50 odd seats in there, and there was another 50 people in the room next door. And at one point, the mayor was trying to get one of the councillors to move a motion. None of them wanted to put their hand up, so I thought I'd take the piss, and I decided I'd put my hand up to move the motion for them. And he just commented that the mayor can't move a motion, Darren. So, and from what Spiros is saying, that and I'm not that fussed about all that kind of hoo-ha, and Spiros say, no, you got to realise that he understands the jurisdiction. He understands that he's not the mayor under our constitution, and that you are, and he has to refer you to that.
See, and I've spoken to you about this, and I know that you don't get turned on with a big head thinking, oh, yeah, I'm the mayor, I'm in charge. Okay, I know that's not you. We know that that's not you, but you are a humble bloke who gets a lot of work done. Now, from my background, which is law, albeit policing law and enforcement, and Spiros's background, which is quite arguably the most successful contract lawyer in the history of this country, we understand that. And for that mayor to capitulate and refer to you in that way, that is a massive sign. That explains to anyone who can hear us that that is an explanation that these councils are lawful. They are set up directly in alignment and with accordance of all the laws of the true constitution of this country. And that makes them powerful. You can't get around that. And that actually puts the power to make community decisions back into the hands of the people who actually live in that community and participate in that People's Council. Have I got that right?
Yeah, well, what we're trying to establish and show to everyone that we're reclaiming our constitution by setting up these People's Councils. And to me, that's the way forward out of this mess. I really, and this will be my last election that I run for. And once again, it's a platform that I'm using to awaken people and get a message out more than anything else. And in my opinion, if we want to get our freedom back in this country, we need to disengage with the corporations. We need to reclaim our constitution, stand under the red flag and the 1901 Australian Constitution Act as sovereign people, and that's what being part of our council is. We do stand under the red flag, the land flag, and we're drawing up our own constitution, but we're using the 1901 Constitution. So it is reclaiming our sovereignty, reclaiming our constitution that's been sitting there, not in use for 60 plus years, and that's all we have to do. We don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Excellent. Darren, just for our listeners this evening, anyone thinking there, obviously you guys were the first in setting up the councils, and as we just heard, we've now got one in Coffs Harbour. Can you just let the listeners know tonight, what does it take to set up a council in each of the suburbs? If people are thinking about going, yeah, we want to do that, what does it take and how many positions or people do you need to get one up and running? Can you expand on that for us tonight, please?
Yep, you only need 3 people. And my original thought when Spiro said we needed one in every suburb, and I kind of argued that, well, that's probably a bit too much. We only need one in every designated council area. But what he's saying that if you have 10 suburbs in Frankston City Council area, each one of those suburbs can have their mayor, and all the mayors would meet and form the actual People's Council. So you have a representative from each suburb. And that's basically decentralising the power to, at the nth degree, really, going way past what I was kind of working on, believing that we need to keep our councils and maybe get rid of our state government because our local areas should be managed by our local people.
Yeah. Is it a formal process that they need to put that together, Darren? Is there can you just elaborate a little bit more? Is there a formal process, or is it a trust agreement that they're setting up between the people that are part of the council? Can you just elaborate a little bit more for us?
No, there's nothing formal about it. It is just a meeting of however many, 5, 6, 10 people, whatever people you can get together. It's just like any other meeting where you move motions, they get seconded, you keep minutes of the meeting. And and then that's it. It could take less than half an hour, and you've formulated it. Now we've gone a lot further than just doing that. We've got our own website. We've put all of the MyPlace community initiatives, which we've worked through a little bit with TAP as well. We got some of those off you guys, and we've put that now into the Frankston People's Council, so we can actually provide services. We've named it .org, so we can hopefully apply for humanitarian aid, so we can actually do some real community projects. In the short term, we're not going to be picking up bins or fixing roads. It really is just getting people informed and to know where they stand and who they are.
Fantastic. And for our listeners tonight, if you're on and you're not checking the chat box, feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. We have put links to the myplaceaustralia.org in the chat box there, as long as links to the People's Trust Victoria and the Frankston Council. So if you want to grab those links before the show ends tonight, please do that. MyPlace Frankston is also on Facebook. We've popped that link in there as well. So thanks for those links, Darren.
No problem.
Lance, you're muted if you want to ask a question. Lance, you're muted.
That's funny, guys. If I could make a point to what Spiros is saying, I do see some merit in that, in his model for a mayor in every suburb, and then they all meet and that becomes a council for the greater area. It's really important that people know their representative and that they can approach them and that they understand them. And that's how we get that general consensus from the public. But it must be really empowering for the people that are going to those council meetings and they're seeing the wins.
Oh, 100%. Everyone's really starting to get on board. I mean, in fact, I'm putting ads out there that if anyone in the community has any issues with the local council or being treated unfairly, to drop us a link and let us know. We'll come and talk to you, and we'll try and get it out there and get it up on all the pages in the area and get the whole community behind it to squash any kind of. And it's really starting to the community's really starting to build and galvanise. It's amazing.
Fantastic.
So tell me a little bit more about the speed trap they set up in the 40K zone. Was that council funded, the cameras?
No, I don't believe they were council funded, but there's some kind of link there between Vic Roads and the council. The council put a lot of outdoor, took up a heap of car parks along a lot of the streets after COVID. Now, no one even sits on these things, and they've still kept them there. And because there's outdoor dining where it used to be parallel parking along the side of a 3-lane highway, they decided to decrease the speed limit by 40 and to 40, sorry, from 60. Now, the awareness to the public, it wasn't advertised the way it was documented that they had to do. They had to have flashing 40 signs for 3 months before they could turn the speed cameras on, and they didn't do any of that stuff. So there's been a massive kickback, and now they've decided to drop all of those fines for a 3 or 4 month period.
Yes,
well, that's really empowering stuff. That's people power in action, and that's where we've lost, because everyone went to sleep. So congratulations for waking everybody up.
It's not just gone to sleep. We've been conditioned to gain knowledge to take advantage of others for financial gain. And it's the mentality, and that's the mindset that I keep telling everyone that we need to change. And that's what we're working really hard to do. And not just on that kind of thing, but on so many different issues. We need to change people's mindsets. And that's one of the big things, is that stop taking advantage of others because you have more knowledge. Share that knowledge for free. And bring them up and help, because that way we're not divided. And that's the whole process of our whole existence, has been to divide and conquer each other, as well as the government dividing and conquering the people. And we've got to turn that around. The only way to do that is to change the mindset and stop trying to profit from everybody and everything.
Excellent. Darren,
so I want to ask you. Yep. Sorry.
I just want to jump in with a couple of questions for you, Darren, from our listeners this evening. JJ would love to know more about the process of selecting the location and venue for your MyPlace, and what hurdles have you faced?
Okay, so it's really easy. You don't need a venue to start with. We've got Lilydale been going for a couple of months now. They've got 660 people have joined MyPlace Lilydale. They hire the RSL once a week. They're doing massive stuff with produce and getting food and that to people. We got a lady that was in the audience last Saturday. I said how easy it was when I was on a show with Carl Leibold, and she actually started a Facebook page, MyPlace Doncaster, while she was in the audience, sent me the link. I joined, and I announced that we now have MyPlace Doncaster. Inside 2 weeks, she's got over 300 people. I'm going to speak at her venue on Sunday night. And there's also one, MyPlace Vic West, which I'm speaking at on Thursday night this week. So it's as easy as starting a Facebook page. I spoke to someone in Benalla today. He's already started his page, Mansfield, everywhere. As soon as they start the page, and I keep explaining to them, there'll be hundreds, if not thousands, in Shepparton, Benalla, Echuca, Mildura, all around your town that don't know each other, that are following all this kind of stuff that we're doing online, whether it be Ricardo or Triple or the Australia Project. and Carl and seeing all this stuff unfold, and they're thinking exactly the same as what you are, but they don't know how to connect. And the MyPlace, because they know and watched what we've been doing at Frankston for the last 6 months especially, the minute the MyPlace kind of pops up, everybody comes out of the woodwork and joins. So that's why it's as simple as starting a Facebook page.
Excellent. And I'll just jump in with one last question before the guys jump back to their questions. Another question from Lynn. Has the government Frankston Council contacted your Peoples Council to find out what's going on, or to check up on it, or to interfere in any way? Has you had any of that happening?
No, they haven't. I actually invited all the councillors and the mayor down to one of our meetings.
I love it.
He got back to me and said, and that was the Monday after we that he actually recognised me as the mayor. But no, they haven't. They're just coming at me. The council's coming at me now for town planning issues, because I've still got my election material up on the side of the building. So they're trying to take me to court for that. So they haven't been too bad, but I don't think they're interested. They're certainly watching. They know everything that I'm doing. They watch my Facebook page. So does Peter Murphy, the federal Labor MP for our area, and Paul Edbrook, the state one. So they're watching everything I'm doing. They know what I'm doing. They know when we're going to turn up at their events and ask the hard questions, and they hate it.
This is what
So
we
let me
should all
ask
be
you a
doing.
They would hate it. Oh, look at this. We all want to jump in.
Hang on, Ainsley. You said that was your last question.
No, I was
I'll
just going
hold
to
you
say,
that.
we should all be
Ken.
doing that. We should all be doing this, shouldn't we?
Yes.
We definitely should all be doing this. Go for it, lads.
No, no. I'm sulking now.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
good. I'll take it. While you sulk, I'll talk. Right. So one of the things I love, Darren, is that this isn't, I mean, this is a real solution, and it's not worried about political parties. You're not worried about a popularity contest. And let's remind everyone that political parties were never intended for this country. Look what's happened in Australia over the last 70 years in particular. We have been absolutely destroyed by Labor and Liberal communists. The Greens, as everyone knows, was started by the Australian Communist Party. We've got the government of this country authorising in their new health legislation, the states authorising forced vaccinations, the stripping of women and men and children inside their own homes if they think you're carrying some sort of disease. And everyone says, they'll never use that. But I've never seen a government create laws they never intended to use. Okay, and political parties were meant to be unlawful in Australia. And since they've come in, they've done nothing but slowly try to take away the freedoms, like some terrible lurking ghoul in the background, sucking the life out of this country. Now, as an example of that, in a town called Ipswich, it's just southwest of Brisbane. Many years ago, the land at a place called Deebing was, get this, they decided to give the Australian Aboriginals from that area their own land back. We'll give you your own land back, people. How magnanimous was that? And so they put a mission on them out there, put them on a mission out there at Deebing, outside the city, so they didn't bother anyone, apparently, that they were bad. That land was given to them in perpetuity by the then Ipswich City Council and state government. And what we've seen is apparently roughly 15 years ago, that land was made heritage listed by the Ipswich City Council. And people think if you heritage list something, you're going to keep it, right? Fast forward, the Ipswich City Council has sold that land to developers. And just a few days ago, of a night time, protected by the Queensland Police, they threw the bulldozers through it and cut that to pieces after they had sneakily made a few backhanded deals with a few people. And there are thousands of people in Ipswich who are absolutely filthy about it. Now, if they had got off their butt and organised themselves into a council, into a MyPlace, and knew how to combat these things, they could have stopped that, couldn't they? They could stand up against the council, get to those meetings and let them know, hey, that's not good enough. And we're telling you as the council, the People's Council of Deebing, or wherever they wanted to put themselves, we're not happy with that. They could do that, couldn't they?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the whole problem with the freedom movement is it's so fragmented and it's so diverse, and everyone's got their idea of what they should be doing. Some people still want to march and go to Canberra or go to Melbourne, and I haven't got time for that. And I think people that have been doing this for long enough should have already moved on. The marches are still relevant for new people coming on board. But what we've got to do, we've got to get these societies and these councils and these MyPlaces or these communities set up, because people are going to be looking for answers and looking for somewhere to come and join. And if we're not organised, build it and they will come. It's pretty simple. But with my whole mindset right now is reclaiming our constitution. And any political party, and I don't care whether they're called the Freedom Party or some other bloody party, we shouldn't be voting or we shouldn't be supporting anyone that is part of a registered political party, because it's unconstitutional. And if our constitution is the way out of this mess, to reclaim our constitution is going to give us 90% of our freedoms back, then we shouldn't, the longer we play their game and stay in the matrix, the harder it is to get everyone on board to change. And yeah, I just can't stress enough that we've got to get back to our constitution, and all political parties are unconstitutional and therefore irrelevant, shouldn't be used, and we shouldn't be voting for them. So, and we've got one very well-known ex-politician that's been, ragging on and bagging people about not knowing about our constitution for quite some time. In the same breath, he's getting people to join his political party, registered political party, that's unconstitutional. So, I mean, when you get in someone speaking with a forked tongue and mixed messages like that, I mean, what hope have we got? All we have to do is re-own and reclaim our constitution, move out of the system, stop playing games, stop playing ball with the corporations, and that's how we do it.
We've got to call them out when they're unlawful too. We have to call them out and stand together, mate, in order to ensure that MyPlace remains unified. Have you got some sort of program for them that gives them the structure and gives them the order that they need?
Well, we didn't, because it's kind of there was only 2 or 3, and my brother started the second one, and friends from that one started the third one, and people from Frankston started the 4th one that I trusted, and they're all on the same page. But now that it's rolling out so quickly and we're heading towards 20, we're working on a blueprint that to be part of this community, this is all the attributes that you need to be able to supply and have these platforms, so that the people that come in your area can join the health network. They can join the political one, a common law group. I mean, there's so many different platforms within a MyPlace that there's a spot for everyone. There's roles for everybody. We've got committees for all of those things. So we're bringing people up and giving them the strength to actually join committees and be leaders of committees. So we're empowering people on a whole different level. And we are basically melding or moulding community back together that would never have met each other in a million years in normal everyday life if this COVID hadn't happened. And we're so different in so many different ways. But on one issue alone, we all saw the bullshit, and this has brought us together. And we've started to realise that we're not that different. You have different beliefs, but I respect those. And we're blending society where spiritual people are becoming more practical, and practical people are becoming more spiritual. And we're all actually taking a little bit of each other's strengths and character and putting it into our own.
Mate, one last thing I want to point out and talk about before I shut up and let someone else have a go. We've talked about February this year. We had at least 1.5 million, and the official police reports from the Australian Federal Police say 1.4 million cars. Now, there had to be at least 2 people per car on average. So I think way more than 1.5 million people, but at least 1.5 million Australians turned up in Canberra to tell the federal government, you suck, what you're doing is unlawful, and we want our country back, right? Now, they were largely ignored. They were assaulted. They were burned. and they were assaulted by the Australian Federal Police. And it seemed, and I won't point fingers, that the whole movement down there was hijacked and put on a little piece of paper, and a couple of select people marched in to see Scott Morrison and said, "Oh, look, please, can we have a little bit?" And of course, nothing happened out of that, right? It was a massive, it ended up being a totally useless attempt with going in there and talking to them. How much more powerful would it have been? I just want people to rhetorically think about this. How much more powerful would it have been if the people down there could have been able to listen to a plan like this, MyPlace, Peoples Councils? Let's get this sorted. If we actually had taken action, if we had got everyone organised into teams, and we had started to take action locally with at least 1.5 million Aussies across the country organised into People's Councils, mate, we'd be free now.
Yeah, but back then, I mean, we didn't have this. I've grown and learnt all the way along. We didn't have 100,000 people partaking in a federal election that never had anything to do with an election before, that learnt and seen how rigged and biased the whole system is to the major parties, or major party, I should say. It's just two wings of the same bird. We know that. It looks like they're fighting against each other in Parliament for the cameras, and they get out the back and they're probably just pissing on together as if they're mates. So we didn't have all this information back then. So we've moved on from that. But yeah, you're right. Could you imagine the amount of finances, energy, and time spent travelling to cities every weekend and travelling to Canberra? Now, they were relevant. They had their time, but I think that time's passed for most of us, to move on and just stay home and fix your own backyard first. And that's what's starting to happen. I think more and more people are starting to resonate now that this is the way forward, that we do need to rebuild communities. This is the way we're doing it here. It's working. We've built the model. We're trying to get a blueprint of what we've done here so everyone can copy, whether it be the People's Trust, which everyone's copying exactly what we've got on our website to start their own in their states, and the same with the People's Council. So, and we're going to keep we've got new information all the time. I got some new information yesterday that's going to blow people's minds, and I can't release it yet, but we've got some exciting stuff coming up. But we really do need to change people's mindsets and understand that we don't have to fight them all the way. We don't have to go and try and vote and get someone on the inside, because we've tried that for 60 years since Don Chip was going to keep the bastards honest. And all we have seen this country go further and further down a tube. So anyone still thinks we can get someone on the inside and change it, they're kidding themselves. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort. And like I said, this will be my last campaign in an election, because I'll be solely concentrating on doing what I'm doing with MyPlace and the People's Council moving forward.
Excellent. Thanks, Darren. Lance, over to you.
Oh, goodness me. It's like Sharon's centre stage with some pretty hungry people, isn't it? We're at a smorgasbord. All right. So, Darren, congratulations. What attracted me to you at the Melbourne function, apart from your, obvious good looks, you had an inherent honesty. And you have that, I'm just going to do the job. I don't give a shit. Because you're a logical achiever and you just look at the job and say, right, we've got to get it done. It's not complicated, is it?
Everyone tries to overcomplicate things. Nothing's complicated. And, we need to join with each other and talk about the solutions and work with each other. And, there's so many different groups. I won't work with them or won't work with him. Let's put the egos aside and say, bullshit, drop the buffs, the tribe's emerging, and let's just get this done. And we need to join together and leave bullshit, leave your beliefs behind, and start to listen to some other people and just get on board, because this is the way forward. And it's not just until we take back control of this country. I mean, the trust might be a short-term thing until we get back control, but the MyPlace and the what you're doing and the People's Councils, they'll be for the next 20 plus years, because it's going to take 2 generations to turn this around and get people re-educated and in line with the new system, because humanity is doing a complete 180, and that will take time. Some people are already there, but the ones that we've been trying to drag across, it's going to take them a long time to get this.
If I could speak a little bit about the division in the freedom movement, and firstly, I don't see it as a bad thing, because it's exactly like you said. When we started, we were in a different place. We've learned a lot along the journey. One of the most important lessons you can learn in life is to be able to discern who's the good guys and who the bad guys. And again, we overcomplicate this process. Find people that are honest, find people that are giving a simple message, find people that are giving you solutions. I see so many people get up and they talk for hours and hours and hours, and they talk around in circles. And, oh, yes, I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other thing. Where's the solutions? Malcolm Roberts will talk for 2 hours, not tell you how to fix anything. That's a politician, guys. Okay? Don't come whining to me saying, oh, I couldn't work out that he was a bad guy. Well, why couldn't you work it out? All they're doing is fundraising. All they're doing is being scumbags. Follow the people that give you the solutions. Follow the people that are achieving. Follow the people that are working, right? Not working to line their pockets. It's really easy. I love the scumbags in the freedom movement because I love spotting them. Now, we can't work with all of them, but I can work with most of them. And I think that's the message, that we roll out our programs, we find things where we have in common, and we strengthen those points. Darren, I love these initiatives. I love that you're being successful with it, and you're an example to everybody else that this is what it takes to change a nation. And so I'm going to say congratulations, mate. I'm proud to call you a friend. I really am.
Thanks very much. And it's it's an amazing time, and we do need to just kind of put things aside, and we all have one thing in common, and I don't care where you're from, how smart you think you are, or anything else. We're trying to save this country. Now, a few squabbles and who's right and who's wrong, if that's going to hamper that effort to save our country and put us back, then people really need to have a good hard look at themselves. Yeah. And even this Freedom Party that's in Victoria now, same as Pauline Hanson did to me in the state, in the federal election. They run a candidate in every single electorate. The one that ran against me in Dunkley lived in New South Wales, never came down to Victoria. They didn't have anyone handing out how to vote cards. So all they're doing is diluting the vote. And now the Freedom Party are doing the same thing. They've got a candidate in every electorate, and all they're doing is diluting the votes. Now, these people are politicians, and don't think that they're anything else. They're politicians. All they want is a seat at the table when I want to turn the table upside down.
Yeah. I'm the same. I believe that our political system is dead. It's been rigged to the final limits. There is no recovery. You cannot fix it from the inside. Everyone's saying, I want to reinvigorate the Liberal Party. They're just identifying themselves as an enemy of the people.
Anyone who says that they think it's a good idea to reinvigorate the Liberal Party and branch stack and try and take the Liberal Party back over, they are kidding themselves. Sorry, I had to jump in there, mate. I'm just so passionate about that bullshit. I've cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. And I appreciated the comment. It is true. So there will be fundamental changes in the community. The system you've got, Darren, is really going back to the future, because the mayor never used to be a full-time position, right? And he knew most of the voters, and they were a person of high credibility who'd served the community well, in commerce and all those things. They'd come to retirement age. So he said, look, I'll give 3 years to the council and I'll be the mayor. And the aldermen were the same, and they were paid a pro rata salary because they weren't full-time. Now, when you look at councils, most of the functions are actually done by contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And if the council wasn't engaged in all the bullshit, the speeding, the homeless people where they're parking, let's get rid of those food vans and let's have 10,000 town planners, I reckon Frankston Council, I'm going to just guess, they would have 10,000 town planners and compliance officers interfering with your legal, lawful rights of land ownership. It's ridiculous. They shouldn't even be engaged in that function. You know, it just pisses me off that we just sit back and take this rubbish instead of standing up and saying, right, let's form the People's Council. Let's let everyone know we're here. Let's take simple action and let's turn the tide.
And forming the People's Council, we're not going to have, be doing anything significant in the early days. But once again, it's starting that conversation with people. Well, what's it mean? Why have you done it? And all that kind of stuff. And then when you start to explain to people, and that's, once again, everything I do is to point out and educate people. I mean, that first video I did when I claimed victory in the Dunkley election, a week before it was all for not because I'm a dickhead or a flog like most people said, like quite a few people said. It was for a reason, and it was to get people to listen to the fact that I was the only constitutional candidate in that election, and that journey started at that point when it comes to the Constitution. And I'm 100% believe that reclaiming our Constitution is the way out of this.
100%.
Lance, I've got a question for you from one of our listeners. Robin would like to know, why do you say that Malcolm Roberts is bad? He's done a great job of giving the doctors a voice and ants exposure. Do you want to just elaborate or clarify that?
If it's too much for you, Lancey, I can do it, but I want you to have a crack because I can't wait to see.
I would
look. It's not me.
We're on a Zoom, but can someone shoot me, please?
No, we need you around. You're valuable.
Does Malcolm Roberts want to expose the 28 pedophiles, that list of 28 pedophiles, or does he still want to suppress it?
No, I think he still wants to suppress it. So would that make him a gatekeeper of pedophiles?
Yeah, pretty much.
Actually, it's not a gatekeeper. The law would make him guilty of it, okay?
Complicit.
Because complicit, exactly, Darren. When you're a counsellor, procurer, or when you're an aider and abettor and complicit in a crime like that, you become a party to that offence under criminal law. That's across the country. But let's sit that part aside. Let's talk about his motherhood statements. A lot of people think that Malcolm Roberts is giving a voice to doctors, etc. They think Malcolm Roberts is crying out on behalf of the people. Let me tell you what will happen because of Malcolm Roberts. He will stand up as a motherhood figure and let people whinge to him, and then he will go whinge, and it will come to nothing. It will amount to nothing. My personal opinion, I've watched him work for decades. I find him personally utterly useless. That's why he nearly got voted out. And indeed, my personal belief is he was voted out at the last election, and that it was miraculously overnight he got the votes he needed and he stayed in. Okay, yeah, BS. However, the fact is, the enemies of this country, who I believe is Labor, Liberal, the Greens, and the big corporations, because they are corporations, have had a chat with him and said, look, you go and puppet on about this. That'll raise your popularity. You'll get voted back in by people who can't see through the smokescreen again, and it will amount to nothing. Meanwhile, a lawyer like Spiro is talking with TAP. We talk about a particular doctor's legal case, which has been stamped authoritatively in law, Dr. Pridgian. There's also another case, which we will talk about on another show at a later time, where a doctor has won his rights and freedoms and proved that APRA is a toothless tiger. And when you link that with the power of the people in creating their own councils and go and say, hey, we want this. I mean, people in those councils can tell the federal government, we want this doctor practicing again. Imagine if we put solidly united 300,000 people behind each doctor who was trying to do the right thing, and said, we want them back practicing again. Okay. I mean, finally we get some organization, right? But if we put into place the things that TAP is achieving, that the Australia Project is achieving with our original people from this country.
Darren.
And that, Darren, the work that you're doing as well with the originals, we will have these doctors practicing again shortly without one care whatsoever what APRA thinks, utterly outside of the influence of APRA and the TGA. Now, what you're doing and what we're doing represent real solutions that will come into existence and are in existence now. And what a man like Malcolm Roberts will do is suck you in, get re-elected, and actually achieve nothing. That's why he's a gatekeeper. That's why he's not worthy of your vote or your time. And the sooner Australia learn to pick up a rotten piece of fruit and hurl it at the bastard, metaphorically, of course, the better off we'll be. There you go.
Look, two points I'd like to make on Malcolm Roberts. He's never there in the Senate for the critical votes. That's the first thing, right? That's the signal that says, hey, something wrong with me, right? So we need to know the background of these people, not just listen to his rhetoric, because Kent's right, he never achieves anything. That's the first thing, right? The second is he's not solutions-based. Malcolm Roberts knows 100% for sure that APRA does not have the right to sanction doctors. And so as a senator, he should just contact them and say, you are acting unlawfully. Correct your course. It's that simple, but he doesn't. He talks around in circles, he spins the chain, and there you go. Boom, secret middle of the night. Look, Malcolm's got the votes.
He's a politician.
Politician. Look, people, honestly, stop getting sucked in, okay? I know I said there was a good politician at the start of this show, but I'm going to go back to my original position. There are no good elected officials. They're all corrupt. They're all corrupt, okay? And that's not even going into their personal lives. If we want to go into their personal lives of people like Malcolm Roberts, well, maybe you're going to think, oh, okay, now I'm starting to get pretty uncomfortable. All right, so there's no good politicians. I don't know how strongly I can say that. There's none. The
problem in this country is that we have a lot more information because we've been doing this flat out and we see through the bullshit. A lot of people still get kind of dazed by the yellow T-shirts and the yellow caps. And, you know, now everyone's seeing who Clive Palmer really is and who United Australia Party are. So it takes time. They just get... People in this country are easily, I don't know whether it's fooled or easily led into the wrong kind of sphere because it's easy, it sounds good, so that's it. They don't have to do any research. This guy sounds better. He's actually arguing for us, where really it's just an act. It's part of the bloody movie and the script that he's reading to make it look like he's fighting the fight for the people when we know that they're not. And people are still sucked in way too easy, and they really need to do a lot more research and understand the bigger picture of what's going on.
Yep.
If we can talk, can I just talk about Clive for 1 second, so people get an understanding of the magic. So before the last federal election, Clive had a problem with the Western Australian government. They'd made legislation retrospective, and he'd lost a court case, which lost him a lot of money. Now, did he deserve that? No. Did it happen? Yes. So Clive come in with a strategy to split the Conservative vote and attract the Freedom vote, which he did a very good job of it. He got Labor into government, and guess what? Oh, miracle. His problem in Western Australia disappeared, guys. Gee, that's magic. Maybe he went to Hogwarts.
Maybe he did go to Hogwarts and could cast a spell.
Maybe, maybe it's all organized, guys, and we the people outnumber them by the millions. And so all we got to do is stand up, form these councils, form the MyPlaces, strengthen your TAP satellite groups, and they're scared about what we can achieve. They're scared now. Kent, Kim and I went to Mackay, stopped the Premier of Queensland. Right? She's now gone up to Cairns and she's going to spend $2 billion building a detention centre. What do you reckon that's for, guys? So now we're going to go up there and stop that.
Excellent.
So we have to be proactive. We have to get community engagement. And I have not seen better projects and better energy than what Darren brings to the table with these two projects. And it's awesome.
Excellent. Before we close tonight, Darren, I've just got one last question for you from one of our audience who basically just wants to know, with the People's Trust, are they actually having wins to help people stop paying their rates? Earlier on, he heard that it hasn't been proven either way. Let me just make it very clear for all our listeners tonight. The People's Trust, whenever they're set up in every state, is not about stopping people from paying rates. The whole idea behind People's Trust is so that the litigation department can actually ask of the council to prove that they legitimately have a right to take the rates from the people. So, Darren, would you like to have a little bit of a chat about, have you had any communication with any councils or any pushback from the councils with any letters that you've had in your Victorian one so far?
Yeah, we certainly have. We're getting letters back from all the different councils. We've had to send another letter, a second letter now, the litigation department has. So there's a bit of to and fro. They're claiming that, because our first thing was, question was under what law or act, do you purport to be able to send this invoice or something along those lines? And they're coming back with the 1989 Local Government Act. And so now we're responding to that. So it's a bit of to and fro at the moment. There's no wins as such, and we're not sure really. It's all up in the air. We have no idea what they're going to do, where it's going to go. But just the fact that we get more and more people having a crack at it, eventually we'll get through and we'll end up in court, and we'll have a case, and then once that precedent gets set, then that'll be. We only need have one win against one council. Yep. And the rest is history.
And you'll be challenging them. Sorry, Kent, just one last thing. You'll be probably challenge them on the lawfulness of the act that they're relying on, because most of those acts are unlawful because they've not gone through proper due process, have they? And they've certainly not passed royal assent. Therefore, they're unlawful acts that they're relying on. So that'll be really interesting to see what happens when it goes that way. Kent, go for it. We'll be wrapping it up in a second, guys.
Just want to say the beauty of that system, Darren, is that you are forcing these corrupt, I'm going to say it, total scumbags, you're forcing them into a position where they have to negotiate with you, and they have to listen to reason coming from an organized group of people that they're supposed to be representing. I love it. It's absolutely the way to go.
Well, they don't have to negotiate, because there's no negotiation. We're just calling them out for what they are, and they've got to prove otherwise.
Yeah,
perfect.
Well, I say keep winning, and well done.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Darren. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. After 24 weeks ago, we had you on as episode number 25. No doubt we have lots to talk about. No doubt there'll be lots of progress in the weeks to come. So maybe we'll have to get you back again in a month or so and just see how things have progressed in such a short space of time, because you are out there smashing goals, standing up for the people. So guys, you've heard it right here tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Let's get back to our Constitution. Let's get your support behind the People's Trust in your state and setting up People's Council wherever you go. Either join a MyPlace or a TAP satellite group around the country, and let's be part of changing history and making stuff happen. Be that number one category of someone who makes stuff happen. So thanks for joining us, Kent, Lance, Darren, and we'll see you all next time on Triple Tap. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Please.